702-419-4346. 702-419-4346.
Just one live.
One of your trusted Las Vegas.
Just on the screen in the bottom right.
Vegas real estate.
Press to make it full screen.
Job working out.
Really
Sucks. Terrible boss.
So now I have the chat.
Gotta get to a job.
You can see the chat on the side. Once we can use the chat, we gotta talk to the chat.
At me. Dude, you should check out
Cool.
Truck U CDL Trading. My brother got his CDL.
Thanks.
Now he has a new career making great money.
Okay, I'm listening.
Truck U offers small classes with night and weekend times available. They will even help with payment programs. Check them out. Truck, the letter U, LV.com. Truck U.
Zip Zap Auto has expanded into one of the largest independent auto repair shops in the valley.
What's up, Chad? How are you? What's going on? We're live from Raiders headquarters today, which is kind of cool. My son has given me the ability to widen my screen and read the chat live. Snow Raider. So we're going to get everybody going big today, talking about Jakorian Bennett being gone, which I don't believe is the end of the world. Good player, wish him well. Good player, wish him well. But man, I can't believe people are freaking out over a guy who was playing third or fourth string corner. We got a new defensive tackle from the world champs who seems to be a good player and wasn't getting any playing time. God, my voice sounds like shit. I gotta freaking get my voice. I need a vacation from my vacations. That's what I need. I need to go away somewhere and not talk. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. We got a good show today. Alex Echelmeyer, she'll be in studio with me. Levi Edwards, working on a couple other guests as we open up the show. JT out of the gate. Here we go on the flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio. And you can watch us live on YouTube. I would, because I'm looking interesting today, man. I got the Eric Allen new Hall of Fame hat on, and I'm live from Raiders headquarters as we open up the show. So you can talk and be right live inside the building where Tom Brady might be, or the coach is. We know the coach is here for sure. I'm meeting with him at 2:00 today. After the show, all the players getting lunch now and everything that's happening in this beautiful podcast radio studio as we open up the gate. So we're ready to roll today. We got a lot to get to. It's a busy show. Wheels up tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be heading out to Seattle with the team. Always never take for granted when I get to fly on the team charter. And we'll fly into beautiful Seattle, where I haven't checked the weather yet, but it better be good. It better be sunny and it better be warm, because I love going to Seattle in August. And we just found out today, Pete Carroll said that everyone's available to play, pretty much. So the starters could play in this game. Reports out of Seattle is they're going to do a tribute video for Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, as we get back there, which will be pretty cool. I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that. And overall, I think the Raiders need some practice games, because the Raiders are tinkering with this roster. And that's the focus of the monologue, brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They fuel the monologue, and they do a great job at doing that. 5 to 7, midnight to 2. That's the best happy hour in town. Okay, I got open phone lines on Jakorian Bennett being traded to Philadelphia. You can look at this 2 or 3 ways. Number one, you can feel bad because you like Jakorian Bennett. I'm good with that. I actually think he's a really good player. I actually didn't think he'd get traded, because I don't think the Raiders are very good when it comes to depth in their secondary. So I thought his job would be safe, but I was wrong, because he wasn't trending well in regards to the 1s and the 2s. And again, I talk about starters and future Pro Bowlers on the show. Once the season starts, I talk about everybody. But you won't hear much about the practice squad players once the season starts, unless they get called up. We know that he got traded for defensive tackle Thomas Booker. Thomas Booker plays for Philadelphia. He's a good player. He's got a heavy motor. He's fast. He's better against the run than the pass. And he was getting buried in Philadelphia because he played for the world champs. And when you're playing in the defensive tackle room for the world champs, you're probably not going to get on the field, even if you're a good player. Here, you'll be able to compete. That's all we've been talking about is the ability to compete. So he'll come here with an opportunity to potentially start at defensive tackle opposite of Adam Butler. And that could be a good thing. For Jakorian Bennett, the reason he got traded, in my opinion, is Christian Wilkins. For whatever Christian Wilkins' behavior was that the Raiders didn't appreciate, or his rehab or lack thereof, they had to move one of the best young defensive tackles, a Pro Bowler, and get him the hell out of this organization. That was the beginning of the end of Jakorian Bennett because they needed another defensive tackle in here, in their opinion. And Pete Carroll really seems to be comfortable with the corners he has. Jakorian Richardson, I think he likes the depth here. I have the depth chart in front of me going into this trip. And I'm looking at the depth chart of what the Raiders have here on defense. In the secondary, I think it's kind of light, but I think the players are good. I just don't know how good they are. Because if Darian Porter is going to start, he's never played it down in the NFL. Never played it down. So they're going to go right after him. Josh McDaniels is going to attack him week one like he's never been attacked before. And that could be a benefit. If this kid turns out to be good, maybe we'll get a pick early. Jakorian Richardson, no doubt, is trending upwards. As Jakorian Bennett was trending downwards. Eric Stokes, they're really excited about around here, and they went and got him for a reason. So I've told you all along, I believe that the Raiders will get another cornerback on cutdown day. I think they'll go out and get a corner from another team who's pretty good, probably better than Jakorian Bennett, probably a veteran, and a name that you'll be familiar with when he's cut for whatever reason. He's cut because he gets beat, or he's getting old in the tooth and maybe doesn't have what a younger player has, and that player will be available. And I don't know who that player is going to be. But the Athletics' Deshaun Reed supported the notion when he wrote that Bennett was the fourth cornerback behind Stokes Porter and second-year player Jakorian Richardson. It became abundantly clear that the team has no real plans for him, so they went and got something in return. Wow. No real plans for you. The new guys didn't draft you. They got no plans for you. You're gone. What's the problem? They did it to Christian Wilkins. The guy makes $90 million a year if he gets his money guaranteed. He's got $50 million. They said, you're not our guy. We don't like what you're doing. You're out. Jakorian Bennett, highly respected player. Nothing personal. He didn't fit the scheme and the size pattern of Pete Carroll. So as I tweeted out yesterday at some point and made it pretty clear, if this new regime did not draft you and you don't compete and you don't look the way they want you to look, you're gone. How can I make this point any more clear? Over the last 6 to 10 years, there's been good men drafting for this team. Reggie McKenzie, he's had some good drafts. John Gruden and Mike Mayock. John Gruden had power. They brought in Max Crosby. Okay, they had some hits and some misses. Dave Ziegler with Josh McDaniels. Didn't work. A couple of good players came in. Then Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco had a really good draft pick in Brock Bowers. Tom Telesco can leave and hang out on the beach for the rest of his life and say he drafted Justin Herbert and Brock Bowers, and he'll be okay with that. But some of the other players they missed on. And we don't even know if they missed on him when it comes to Jakorian Bennett, because we want to wish the kid well. But we at least know he didn't fit what they wanted, what Spytek and Carroll wanted here. Who the hell has a problem with that? I got Twitter tough guys with beer muscles screaming on the internet. What are they doing? Oh my God, the first bad move of the Spytek era. How the hell do you know? You're freaking out in August because we upgraded the defensive tackle room and Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham feel okay about their secondary? Look, I don't mind when you play GM on the radio or coach. I don't care when you do that. It makes for better radio. I want to hear from people today. What's your problem? They got rid of a guy who they didn't think was a fit. They didn't get rid of Charles Woodson. They got rid of Christian Wilkins, who's a much better player than Jakorian Bennett. And you have to say to yourself now, do you trust the new regime and what they're doing? That's the entire show today. Because Raider Nation, and we've all been scarred the last couple of years. Hundreds of Raider fans have come up to me, maybe 1,000 to my face and said, JT, it's been really tough over the last 20 years. We haven't won. I said, I know, I've been here for all of it. First 4 years I was here, we went to 2 AFC championship games and a Super Bowl. I thought that was going to happen every year. I think most of Raider Nation finally believes, with Pete Carroll and the staff underneath him, and John Spytek, who comes in, with high grades, I think most Raider fans are cool with this. I would just tell you this. I wouldn't throw a glass bottle up against the wall and start a barroom fight over this move. All right? There's going to be bigger moves than this. I promise you. I have no inside information, but I can promise you they will move at some point bigger names than this, if not this year or next year. Everybody who they didn't draft and everyone they didn't sign before they got here is on notice. Other than Max, other than Brock. Who else you want on that list? Colton Miller, they gave him a contract extension. I think we could say A.J. Cole, right? Maybe the best punter in the league. They seem to want to give Malcolm Kuntz 1 year to see him. Okay. Tommy Eichenberg was just drafted. He's here. I think the big guy who's fortunate to be here is Tyree Wilson, right? They get rid of Jakorian. They didn't get rid of Tyree. Now, Tyree is really expensive. He's like Giancarlo Stanton for my Yankees. We can't get rid of him because he's too expensive. I like Tyree Wilson in this scenario. So now you bring in Booker, who's going to play run, right? First down, probably second down. Got a crazy motor, can get into the backfield. John Spytek brought some people over from Philadelphia. Clue. Are we looking for clues? John Spytek's got some Philly eyes in the building. And I would assume, I haven't talked to John about it, but the Philadelphia evaluators in here said, yeah, that's a good player. We come from that organization with Howie Roseman. This kid's good. He couldn't get on the field enough because the players in front of him were better. He'll be a starter here, John. Bring him in. I would assume that happened at some level. And they got a guy they like. So you have to come to grips with this or not. I run a fast-paced, emotional radio show. I'd like to hear from you today before I go 25 minutes into the show and punch the wall because you're not ready again. Let's go. Do you like this move or not? 702-365-9200. Do you respect this move or not? What do you think? I'm okay with it, but I like Jakorian. I did not think Jakorian needed to be gone because I don't think that the corners in this building have a track record of being elite, and there's some that they're trying to break in. They love Darian Porter. They clearly like Eric Stokes. And we could all agree from what I heard that Decamerion Richardson is getting better, and he's going to be in some type of rotation. With Isaiah Palomal, Jeremy Chin on the back end, Christopher Smith has been playing better. Chris Smith, I like the way he's playing. I mentioned Tyree Wilson coming in. I interviewed Tonka Hemingway today. You'll hear a portion of that. Tonka sat down with me for a one-on-one. He's a good player. And then they got other players who are going to be fighting to get on the field to compete against Adam Butler. I like this. We'll see who makes the team. But when you look at this, Jonah Laulu is a good player, and he's been trending upwards. So they added another defensive tackle. If I went back in the hot tub time machine 2 days ago and said, hey, Raider Nation, what do you think we need here if we're going to make a trade? Do we need another corner or a defensive tackle? I would have said all day long, get me a corner. They got rid of a corner who's young and very athletic and good. It might turn out to be a good player in this league. I hope he does. Hope he turns out to be a good player. I hope the player we got in return turns out to be better because we play Philly this year. But this was a move that obviously had to be made. Man, do you ever remember? I wasn't very good in school, no surprise, but I was good. I knew how to get by. I graduated in 4 years. Passed my Series 7 and Series 63, became a stockbroker. Won the smack off. First time, beat everybody badly. When you put me in a position where I got to excel, I excel. Have my whole life. But I never liked the new bosses and the new teachers. Oh, they always made me nervous, man. There's a new teacher? Wow, I got to start kissing ass more or finding a way to show up to class. There's new teachers here, man. There's a new sheriff in town, Pete Carroll. He's probably going to love everybody, but if you don't fit Pete's scheme and Pete didn't sign you and Pete didn't come up with the idea that you're the guy, you're going to lose out to one of Pete's guys. So they decided to go down this road. I'm not numb to it. I'm not numb to it at all. But look, I mean, this is what happens in a business. And when you're in a business, you have to be ready for some really dramatic moves in any business. Look at the government. Look what's happening big picture in life with government and the economy. Every day I wake up, stock market 629, boom, it's on. Did something happen? Was there a tsunami? Did a company go out of business? Did some CEO go to a Coldplay concert and get caught with a side piece? Could that affect the stock? I didn't expect Jakorian Bennett to be gone, but it's not shocking. Now, if Jackson Powers Johnson was gone, because he doesn't seem to have a position locked in, that would be shocking to me. But I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to start either at center or guard. So that's what we're talking about today. I'd like to get your opinion on this. I think it's a pretty cool topic because it's a big topic that I like. It's about this competition. Compete, P-E-T-E for Pete Carroll. And every practice that I've been to so far, which is every one, except for the Canton when I was in camp, I don't see the ball hit the ground. I don't. I mean, I don't see every pass. And every time they run a route and 4 receivers go out and the quarterbacks throw it to 3 of them, or 3 receivers go out, they all catch it. And they immediately get back to a huddle and run another play cleanly, fast, so they can get in more plays in practice. Last year at this time in Costa Mesa, my Facebook memories came up. Last year in Costa Mesa, every time the quarterback faded back, someone dropped the ball. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. It hit the ground. And everybody said, what's going on? Why is this offense so bad? Now Gino looks beautiful out there. I told you Aiden looks fantastic. I mean, the depth chart of the quarterback position in general looks pretty good. And then we just found out that some of the starters might play in Seattle. That's nice. I'm calling the game on radio. I'd love to call a Gino touchdown in the first quarter. Hopefully that'll happen. 702-365-9200. Alex Echelmeyer will join us. Alex Echelmeyer will join us in studio in a little bit. Levi Edwards, and we'll get going. So everybody is ready to roll today. We're getting our YouTube chat working, so everybody calm down. We'll get the YouTube chat working for you. I got hands on deck for that. And then we'll get going. We begin with my leadoff hitter, who could be anyone's cleanup hitter, the great Chris in West Oakland.
Possibly get nervous for his position. One thing about Carroll and this group, they don't seem to have patience for guys that can't get on the field. That was one of Bennett's biggest problems last year. He couldn't get on the field. Another thing is pass. He likes tall, rangy corner and defensive backs in general. Guys in the 6'2" to 6'4" range. You know, what's Bennett? 5'8", 5'9"? Very athletic, very quick, but also very quick in a league where the wide receivers are bigger than ever. You do have your hands more guys like Edelman left, but the league seems to be trending more to receiver receivers in the 6'4" to 6'6" range, it's harder to be a small corner. As far as Booker, I'm okay with it. Don't really know how good this kid is yet because he's playing behind Jalen Carter. We think he get the step, we just don't know it because he's playing behind the best defensive tackle in football. Hasn't been able to get on the field yet. Thing I will say about this regime, I don't know exactly what their plans are, but they clearly have a plan in place, and they're sticking to it. But here's the main reason I called today, JT. All the Micah Parsons talk. Look, I don't know if it's realistic or not. If he truly is on the trading block, it's time the Raiders go out and pull the trigger on a move like this. We've been hearing for years how the Raiders have more cap space than everybody, how moving to Vegas was going to free up the money. Well, damn it, when are you going to make that big splash? I understand slow and steady progress, but like Raider Mort used to say, we got a whole lot of guys that are just guys. If this guy really is available, then let's roll the dice and see what we can get. Because you got two elite pass rushers like Max Crosby and Micah Parsons. Again, it might be a pipe dream, but what do you have? I'm tired of watching the Roquan Smith, the Jalen Ramsey go to these other teams for almost nothing when I'm constantly hearing how much the Raiders have to spend. At some point, like George Atkinson used to say, it's an added addition, he used to like to say. It was a play on words. A guy like Parsons makes everybody else better. The Raiders don't have those guys on defense other than Crosby at the moment. You need one guy. You put two guys on defense like that, JT. Now other guys are better just because they're playing with two of the best pass rushers in football. Is possible. I don't know what they would have to give up to do it. I don't know if it will require a couple of first-rounders. I don't know if the Raiders in the future plan on using a first-rounder to maybe try to get a quarterback, because I still ultimately believe with Geno Smith going to be 35 in a division with three other quarterbacks under 30, that has to be a long-range plan at some point. I don't know what their plans are. But if this is at all possible, damn it, I'm tired of standing on the sidelines. Roll the dice. Let's go for the big splash. Let's quit standing on the sidelines, and let's see if we can get this done and get this team back to relevancy. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I appreciate what Chris says there. This isn't a big splash trade yet. Philadelphia, he's going to take Jakorian Bennett and make him a great player, but he's not going to start. He wasn't starting with the Raiders. He's not starting for the world champs. And we could get a player who couldn't start for the world champs to start with the Raiders and prove himself. That's it. Now, the Raiders have a certain amount of players around this league that people recognize as being very good players. The rest of the players here are all on prove-it deals or young draft picks or undrafted free agents trying to make the team. That's it. That's how you run the business. How many stars do you have? Well, Kansas City drafted players along with Philadelphia, and they became stars. We drafted players in the past that were thrown out of the building. We drafted players in the past by good guys who I sat down in this studio with, who I had a lot of respect for, and the new regime is moving them out of the building. That's the facts. Jack, if you're not good enough to play for Pete Carroll, or if John Spytek and Pete Carroll want to try something different because their staff and their scouts and their coaches see other players better fits, you're gone. You're gone. It's a business. That's what they do in Philly and Kansas City. They do that. And that's why they're winning more. They draft better players. They develop them better. And they have undrafted players that they're able to trade because they're really good and other teams want them and they get more equity back. But to sit here and blame, don't blame Vinny Bonsignore, blame me. I'm looking at Vinny, I'm like, what's blaming Vinny for? Vinny's told you everything with passion, you're blaming Vinny. Blame me. You're better at blaming me than Vinny and Q. You've had more practice in blaming me for the trades that you don't like. Give me a break. In Spytek and Carroll, we trust now. Let them figure it out in August. We've had a nice little run here. Everything's been good. Everything's been smooth. We lost some good players. We did lose some good players in Trayvon Merrick and Spillane. Oh, Nate Hobbs injured. Knee scoped. He's out for the preseason. I wish Nate well. He couldn't stay on the field. They're trying to find guys. Oh, that's another big thing I know. Ooh, I better bite my tongue. You better get out of the tub with this group. Same with Gruden. If you couldn't get healthy with Gruden, goodbye. I have a feeling these guys, they're not going to be very patient. Get back on the field as soon as you can. Raider Reggie, who I saw in Canton, Ohio, and was VIP at the Eric Allen party. What's up, Reg?
Man, I didn't want to start there, so I'm gonna try not to, even though you went there. What's going on, JT? I really appreciate you, brother. And I wanted to do this real quick since you started the topic about the Jakorian Bennett thing. Shout out to Chris and Raider 66 and all the deep thought fans. I love hearing them. I'm not that deep as far as knowing exactly what players we should have and what the players are doing, but I am a little surprised that we got rid of Jakorian. I'm not shocked. I'm just surprised because I wasn't expecting it to happen. But I'm leaving it up to Pete. I really believe he's doing some good things. And if you're not doing your job or if you're being outplayed or whatever, you're most likely going to be gone. Not sure if that was the situation. I did think we needed more help in the DB room, so us losing him, that's the surprise for me. I thinking we needed more help there. But I also think we needed help at the D-line as well as linebackers. But with that said, yes, I will definitely send this super shout out and congratulations to EA, my boy Fabian, yourself. I mean, I had a great time there, but also just the whole event seemed so much better. Not as many Raider fans as I expected. I was hoping that all my Raider family would be there. They weren't, but we had a good time anyway. I always tell people it only takes 2 Raider fans to outdo a whole bunch of other fans. I had a battle with a bunch of powder puffs while we were out there. I had a bunch of arguments with some of these guys that walk up. They got 3 different teams on. They wearing a Denver Broncos jersey. They got a Dallas Cowboy hat on, and their kids is walking around in Chargers gear. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. You can't argue with me, but y'all all the way Raiders all day. But it was great to see you at the party, man. And EA did a great job. I really appreciate his family. They let me in to their circle, man, and it's amazing. I can't wait to see him in person again at the Torch. But let's just hope Pete got this plan in hand and that this situation with Jakorian is just part of the process, man. If you're not competing or if you're being out-competed, you're going to be gone. That's just the way it is. I actually expected that with AP. If you weren't doing your job, you was getting up out of here. So I leave it to them. I'm not here to call any shots and say what we should and shouldn't do. But I did like what Chris said. Why don't the Raiders take a chance, jump in there, and get whoever it might be that's available, especially at DB and at the defensive line. I think we need to get that help there, and it'll make our defense that much more better. JT, I'll see you at the Torch. I'm getting ready to start calling you more often. I got some time off, and I cannot wait to see you in person, man.
Sounds good,
guys.
Yeah. Yeah, good to see you, man. Reggie made the trip, Fabian. They were invited, came to Eric Allen's party and was with us all night, had a great time. That's the monologue in the first segment of the show. We're off to a good start. Alex Echelmeyer will join us in studio, also Levi Edwards. Actor Nick Totoro called me last night on the air about the Yankees. Wait to hear that phone call. I'm going to replay that. We're going to talk about passion for a caller. And we're just going to dive in tomorrow, wheels up here around noon or so. Flying to Seattle for the first preseason game Thursday night. It sounds like Pete Carroll wants to see some starters play, which I think is fantastic. JT, live from Raiders headquarters.
With this new regime taking their time seemingly with signing Colt Miller to a long-term deal and big-time money, what does that say about how they feel about Colt, what they feel about this offensive line? Because
She should be there at 12:30, which is in a few minutes, and I'm going to put her on as soon as she's up here. John, why is that mute button going on? I didn't touch anything at all. So we got it back. No sound. I don't know why I could go from having sound and then have no sound. I don't get that, but whatever.
You actually couldn't hear me like.
Come on in. How cool is this?
This is so
Have you been in
cool.
there before?
No. Well, yeah,
Jump
show
in.
you my stuff.
Right there. They're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it right there.
Awesome.
What question did you ask today? That was a good one.
Thank you. I asked what is something, or if anything, that Pete has taken from his time in Seattle
Good one.
and is instilled here to the Raiders.
Good. You're good with that headset, and we'll just turn that red mic off, and you're good to go.
Okay. How fun. Thank you for having me
Have
again.
you been up here?
No,
Yeah, it's cool. This is the
It's
radio
awesome.
podcast, so it's cool.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really nice. It definitely is nice to be up here.
How often are you in here?
A bunch. Usually
Okay.
Wednesday, we do a YouTube show from here, and then Monday, we do radio and TV, and then I interview the coach here every week, Pete.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll just get into practice.
Love it.
Yep, here we go. That's Geno Smith, JT back in headquarters. Alex Eshelman, kind enough to join us from KTNV, one of our new insiders. First time up here. Welcome.
It is stunning,
Isn't it?
JT. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I feel so cool being in here. This is so awesome that you get to be in here week in and week out.
Yeah, it is really cool, and you'll get comfortable in here because they put a lot of money into this, and the TV's next door, and
You can tell.
you're TV in this town, so you know what TV's like. And tell everyone, our new audience, what you do in town here. You told us a couple of weeks ago, but we have a new audience also streaming us on YouTube. You came to the market from Montana
Right.
initially. You've been in here now, and you got a big presence here on Channel 13.
Well, JT, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And you mentioned it. I did start my TV career in Montana, covering one Tommy Millott. Actually, we kind of talked about that last time on the podcast, of course, and the show, of course. We heard from him earlier this week at practice. But after that, kind of grew with the Big Sky Conference and the FCS, covered a little bit of Cam Miller during that time. And now here in Las Vegas, a little over a year with KTNV. It's been awesome covering the Raiders, Aces, VGK, you name it, everything in town.
Speaking of Cam, I thought he'd play a lot, but then Pete Carroll told us today we might see some starters. What'd you take away from that?
You know, I was really impressed with, let's go back a couple of days, Cam Miller at the mock game.
Right.
I was impressed with him. I thought that he did a really good job. I thought there were a lot of positives that came out of that mock game, but you're right. Pete Carroll did say that, and we're looking forward to seeing it all kind of unfold against the Seahawks, a team that he knows all too well, and Geno Smith as well.
Were you a little bit surprised by that? Because he made it clear that everyone's available. And that's refreshing around here. That hasn't been the case for a while. And quite frankly, fans have different opinions on that you should never play a quarterback in the preseason. Max should never touch the field. But if Max played in a simulated game at Allegiant Stadium, I have no problem seeing him play in a preseason game.
I agree. And I think the biggest thing right now, and of course, I don't know exactly what Pete Carroll is thinking, but I do think that this is his first year with this team. This is a new regime, a new era being put in place. And with that being said, I would assume that, they're kind of really still trying to see how everything is going to unfold, who is fitting in those starting roles, and how those set starters already are taking on those leadership roles.
How surprised were you with the Jakorian Bennett trade, considering Pete's made it clear it's competition? Didn't seem to fit the mold of that 6'1", 6'2" corner with a certain hand size and a little bit longer there. I wasn't shocked by it, but I was a bit surprised because I thought the secondary was, we don't have a lot of depth in the secondary. Raider Nation does. So I thought he'd be safe through the preseason until cutdowns.
It's a great question, JT. And I would love to hear more of your thoughts on that. Yes, I do. And I was looking at a lot of fan feedback, Raider Nation feedback on that as well. A lot were surprised, but also, even though, yes, it is his first year at the helm of the Las Vegas Raiders, everyone is diehard Pete Carroll. What he says goes. And so from that aspect, I don't find it totally surprising because, of course, I trust what he's doing, as you do as well. But I would like to hear a little bit more about your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, Alex, when it comes down to this, we're learning that this new regime, if you didn't get drafted by them, if they were drafted by the former regime, I'm not going to say that your job isn't safe, but I will say that you got to look over your shoulder if Pete has a better player. And if John Spytek brings in a better player. And there are some executives who came over here in football side from Philadelphia who might realize that Booker, a defensive tackle, could be that player. So we're going to see it play out. But what I love about it is it keeps everyone on their toes because everybody knows if they don't practice well every day, they can go from the first team to the second team. We saw Jakorian Bennett with the third team, and he probably heard from his agent and others, wow, if you're running with the threes, your job might not be safe.
Well, and in addition to that, Pete Carroll even said this today about the young guys. He's like, I'm not afraid to play the young guys.
Yeah.
So it's really anybody's game.
Absolutely. Alex Echelmeyer is our guest. Tell us about this connection from Pete Carroll from USC to Seattle and this return trip home for him. I think it's a really big deal. And I'll tell everybody this. It's big because we don't play him in the regular season. So if there was a game in week 7, it would be massive. Pete Carroll's coming back for a regular season game. This is his only trip up there, and I think Seattle thinks it's a big deal. And I would say, and I don't know Pete well, that this is important for him and his family to get that recognition.
You heard it. Yeah. I asked him about what's one thing he took away from his time in Seattle that he's trying to instill here with the Raiders. And he even brought it back before his time in Seattle to his time in USC, with UFC, of course. And he said the culture and the people and how you treat people. And he also mentioned in today's presser to the media that he loved his time in Seattle. And I'm sure he did. 14 seasons, incredible seasons, Super Bowl winning coach. I think, and JT, I went to one game at Lumen Field when he was the head coach there. It was a game against Atlanta. I was still in Montana covering Troy Anderson. He was just drafted to the Falcons, and everybody loved Pete Carroll. Yeah. I mean, it was insane, the love that guy has in that city. And so I would agree with you. I would assume that it's, in many ways, it has to be a homecoming in a sense.
It's his first. Yeah, it's his first homecoming. It's great.
But Pete did say he ended everything with, it's just another game. We're going to go play another game.
Yeah, and he did end it that way. Wrapping this up, what did you see at the mock game with the fans? Because I don't judge fans who don't fly in this economy in August, the hottest part of the year, to Vegas for a practice game. I'm talking about the Oakland fans, the LA fans, but the fans locally here, and you're kind of new to the market, but been here a little bit. Do you feel like it's turning when you were talking to the fans and afterwards walking on the field and seeing everything that I saw, because I was in Canton for that, really looked like the fans are excited about the players coming through the club section, a different entrance into the game. The fans really thought like they were connecting with Max and Pete Carroll as they left the field. Tell us about that experience.
I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm going to.
No, you can.
The amount of Raiders fans that were there, I turned over to a colleague and I was like, man, if the tickets were just a little cheaper for locals, this would be packed with people here.
Okay.
I was amazed
Yeah.
by how many Las Vegas Raiders fans, families, people of all ages, people of all backgrounds in the building, yelling Raiders, doing the whole thing. There is no doubt that there is a fan base here and a growing fan base here. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, again.
And I know that you were.
Yeah, I was out of
with
town,
Eric
but
Allen.
everything I saw looked like the fans really are getting it. Look, we're gonna see what happens in the home opener because the Chargers don't have a lot of fans. So it's not like a lot of Charger fans are going to buy Raider fan tickets.
Right.
I think that this has an opportunity to be one of the biggest Raider home games since the first ever game when the Raiders beat Drew Brees. We had COVID games where there were no fans. These fans have been through a lot. And these fans, these season ticket holders, many of them, not their fault, go to their seats and see other fans sitting in their seats from other teams.
Sure.
And they don't deserve that. They don't deserve the fans that sit next to them to sell all 8 games and just put it up to a broker. I really believe that that's going to change under Pete Carroll. Not that Antonio Pierce didn't care about that and all the other coaches, especially John Gruden. But I think Pete Carroll's been saying this as you've been covering it. And you see that he's saying, please come out to these practices. Yeah, yesterday had to be canceled due to the smoke, right? Today had to be canceled due to the smoke because yesterday when we left here, it was really smoky. I knew they weren't going to have practice. It just, the conditions weren't right for that. But Pete's dead serious when he stands in front of that podium. He wants more fans at practice. Can you imagine what he's going to think about when the games matter?
And I'm really happy you bring that up, JT, because here's the deal. I see why the tickets are so expensive. I mean, we're in Las Vegas, for crying out loud. Everybody wants to come here, and for good reason. Allegiant Stadium is incredible. It's a show every single week. But to your point, Pete has done a really good job, even before the mock game this last weekend. Here at Raiders HQ has been packed with fans. Every opportunity that has been available to locals, it's been awesome. And it's selfishly been awesome for us at KTNV because that's kind of what we're all about, highlighting those people who make up our community. And it's amazing to see that Pete and the rest of this new regime kind of plays into that.
So what do you have coming up on the shows? What do you have coming up tonight here? Because there were no fans here today, but you got great access. You asked a great question, and Pete said, great question.
Thank you.
What should we look forward to tonight?
Tonight, we're going to be kind of talking exactly what we're talking about here on the show.
Okay.
Hearing a little bit more from Geno Smith and everybody else that we spoke to today. Loved hearing from Ian today. He just seems so wise, and I loved kind of what he talked about with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, of course. And so we're going to be talking about that later in the week. We're kind of highlighting back to school. It's next week. The Aces are doing a fun back to school drive. The Raiders, I covered this last year, going to be covering it again this year. Our team is, of course, they do local haircuts for our youth around town prior to the start of school, which is super cool that the Raiders do every single year. So kind of highlighting that and getting people excited for fall and football, even though it's hot. It's hard to call it fall, but
this is the first hot week. You know,
we've been spoiled this summer, JT.
It hasn't been super hot. I've been running out of Vegas, anticipating the heat, and now we finally get there. But fortunately, I'll be in Seattle the next couple of days, and hopefully it'll be mild up there.
PNW in the summer, you can't beat it.
Thanks for coming in studio.
Thank you.
We're
as
happy
always,
to add
JT.
you to our insider roster. I like the work you do. Look forward to having you on again.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Got it. Alex will be here with us all season long. When we come back, we'll jump in. I got a lot of sound today. We'll play Pete Carroll's press conference, a portion of it, when we come back. We are brought to you by our great friends at M Resort Spa and Casino. Hey, check it out. They built the new tower. It's going to be opening soon. And speaking of new openings, I'll tell you about Mike over at La Casa Cigars. We're open. Tivoli Village, the grand reopening. Details coming up next. Very good.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Our YouTubers here appreciate you.
Oh, yay.
So thanks to them.
Okay, awesome.
And I'll walk you out, man. I'm happy you were able to come up here.
JT, thank
cool.
you. This is
Thank
so
you.
fun. I really, really appreciate it.
We look forward to having you on a bunch. It's going to be great. Especially when Pete is acknowledging your questions.
Thank you. I know that you know this better than anybody, but it's always nice when I go, that's a good question.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
I'll see you around.
You know what's funny though? Anytime somebody says that, I think either you genuinely think that, or you need to think about your answer for a second until you're just saying that's a good question, you know?
Isaiah, you know what the light is for this? For the studio?
For that one?
Yeah.
I can turn it off.
Oh, yeah.
Or that light? No, actually, no. Yeah. Sorry.
I'll show you next time. Did you know her before? Did you know her before?
No, it was my first time
Yeah,
here.
she's not here.
She was good.
Yeah, she was good. Okay, what do we got here? We got this. Be right there, guys. Where is the other headset? This thing just came out. Let me get this on here. And where's the headset for this one here? Perfect. I'll put that up here. All right, chat. What'd you think? Alex Echelmeyer, I thought she was pretty good. Really good. She asked a lot of questions at the podium. All right, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, Bobby? Yeah, I want to pass on the alumni today. We'll do it when we get back. Yeah, tomorrow's no show. Vince is in for me. No show on Thursday, back on Friday. So we'll do that on Friday. Okay. No calls? Okay, thank you. All right.
Really sucks. Terrible boss, and the paycheck is even worse. I gotta get a new job.
Truck you.
Wait, what?
Truck you.
You don't have to curse at me.
Dude, you should check out Truck You CDL training. My brother got his CDL license in 4 weeks and now he has a new.
What's going on, chat? That was Alex Echelmeyer. She's from Channel 13 in Vegas.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
Wood Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the country. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please be responsible.
To you by the Nicasta Verde Law Group. 222-9999.
I can't give you everything, man. I can't tell you everything, man. I can sit down, we can talk about it all day, but Chip's a great coordinator. He does a lot of great things, and he makes the game easy on the players. That's something that you really appreciate as a quarterback.
Turn it up, Bobby. This is Boston, and my wife and I listened to the Boston album, their debut album, on the drive from Boston to New York. It was on our playlist, and I played the whole thing, and I forgot how great of an album it was. All right. Thanks to Alex Echelmeyer, who joined us in studio from Channel 13 here in Vegas. She'll be in our rotation. Every 2 weeks, we'll have her on here, Raider Nation Radio, and she asks good questions, and she's at practice. And the insiders that we put on this show go to practice. They go to practice more than me because the show's on times during practice. I want to make sure we have people on who bring different opinions on what's going on with the Raiders. So we greatly appreciate adding her there. Bear in New Mexico. Thanks for waiting on the flagship of the Raiders. What's happening, Bear?
Thanks for having me, JT. I was just calling because I agree with the moves, and I think we have to trust Pete Carroll, and I think he has a vision for this team, and he's a proven winner. So we have to trust that he knows what moves to make to get this team where it needs to get W's. I think I speak for all of Raider Nation is we want W's, we want wins, and whatever it takes to get to that in game, we got to trust him, and we got to let him do what he does to get this back to being a winner.
Yeah, the way it was described to me, hold on, don't hang up. The way it was described to me today was perfect. If one move like this can gain one more yard or stop a yard on a 3rd and 1, where Booker makes a stop behind the line of scrimmage that leads the Raiders to a win, which takes the Raiders from 8 wins to 9 wins or whatever it is, it's worth the move. We're not going to see that move until it happens, but we just brought in a good player on the world champions who's played but was stuck in a rotation, kind of like our guys are stuck in a rotation. Adam Butler, Tyree Wilson are stuck in a rotation, and maybe if you get them to a new team, they're going to have a breakout year and play better. That's all you can hope for. It's a lot about just hoping now that this is a good trade.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, sometimes a new scene is what you need. Maybe he'll excel here. Maybe he'll do better, but you just got to trust that Pete Carroll, he's a proven winner, and you got to trust that he knows what he's doing, because at the end of the day, I don't care if we have 11 no names out there. If it's giving us W's, that's what I want.
Yep. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for waiting. Keep calling from New Mexico. My son just reminded me we're just a few subscriptions away, free subscriptions away of hitting another number on our YouTube channel. So we'll give away a nice prize to that individual who hits on that number. Just go to YouTube and subscribe for free. JT the Brick YT. Well, that sounds good. I've never said that before. Go to YouTube for free and subscribe to JT the Brick YT. You would have been able to see Alex on the show and get to know her and all the other people that are in the chat right now. Great place to make new internet friends. In an era where making internet friends is kind of important to make good. You want good internet friends. You don't want the guys who slide into my DMs and they're surprised when I slide back. Ooh, they don't expect that. They never expect that when they slide into your DMs and you slide right back at like 3:30 in the morning. They don't expect that. I want good internet friends to jump in here. Raider D in Oaktown, Oakland. What's up, D? Raider D, go ahead, D. How you been?
What's up, JT? Yeah, man. Hey, I'm getting ready for this national night out thing. You know what I mean? Getting some barbecue going, trying to get to know the neighbors and anything. I must have missed the big trade, man, but I'll look into it a little bit later, man. I'm looking forward to getting up there, man. I'll be up there for the Jacksonville game on November the 2nd. So I'm hoping to be able to hook up with you, spend a little time that weekend, man, and see what you were talking about as far as, how they treat the Raider fans. I know they're talking about the ones that's up there, but, you got to show some of the ones that stuck with the team when they were down here in this situation, too. So,
hey, D, I heard you had a reunion. I heard you had a reunion with the parking lot crew, man. Was the food good? Was the Crown Royal flowing? What was that like?
Yeah, actually, those guys, they were in Antioch. They had a nice little thing. I was in the old neighborhood of Kelly Hill out in Hayward doing a reunion thing out there. So, yeah, it was a lot going on, man. It's been a lot going on. I'll be up in Clear Lake this weekend, actually.
Good.
Taking in some football and fishing, getting ready for the regular season, man.
Yeah, well, look, dude, I'm looking forward to you to come out here. Jakorian Bennett was moved. That's the big deal. We got a preseason game. Don't tell me they don't play those games in Oakland, right? Can you watch a preseason Raider game in Oakland, or are those scoundrels doing a bad thing and not having us on TV up there. What's the update?
Hey, yeah, no, man. They're not showing the Raiders the love that they should and staying connected for the fans that's been here forever, man, and support the community and, support the community and all of that, man. But we'll be up at Clear Lake. We'll be taking them in. I'll be getting a little fishing in, like you said. And that weekend is the cigar aficionado big smoke out at the Horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll be up there for that, and we'll be trying to take in the Raider game, too.
Take care, D. Good to hear from you. Raider D, hardcore Oakland Raider fan. Appreciate that. I know you can watch the preseason game on NFL Network. Used to love that because I worked the TV sidelines for 15 years and would always get some love on NFL Network when they throw down a halftime or the sideline. It's really weird. NFL Network takes half the feed of one team, half the feed of the other team. Also, speaking of broadcasts, I want to say a prayer on the air for Greg Papa, former voice of the Raiders, who's fighting a battle, a very serious battle now. Most people are aware of this. And Greg has been a dear friend of mine for a long time. And our heart should be in a good place and give back to someone who's fighting a battle for their life. So thoughts and prayers to Greg Papa. I'm involved in the conversation with people who are involved with it. I definitely wanted to get that in here before the Niners come out. The Niners will be here next, and he's not going to be the voice of the Niners until he gets through this portion of his battle again. So for everybody out there, wishing Greg Papa well, and I hope he recovers completely for what he's going through in the battle that he's fighting now. 702-365-9200. We're going to have Levi Edwards in studio. Wonder what Levi's going to wear. The YouTubers love when he's swole.
20.
Swole. So he's going to come in here firing. And we'll play Pete Carroll's press conference. Gino spoke to. So we got a lot to tell you before Wheels Up tomorrow to Seattle.
10. Back to it.
All right, we'll keep it here, chat. We got all these wires, man. I'm a mess today. There you go. There you go. Yes, prayers out to Greg Papa. I don't want to hear any shit about Greg Papa. He's a friend of mine. Obviously, his chapter ended with the Raiders. He's working for the Niners. He's a great broadcaster. And, again, we want everybody to be well who's fighting something. Fighting something that's really difficult to fight. That's it. All right. All right. I got some time to jump in the chat here, man. Yep. I hope he beats it too. I'm very optimistic that he will. All right, what else do we have here? Any questions? Anybody? JT, are you going to the Seattle game? I'm the play-by-play voice of the Seattle game on radio. What do you mean, am I going? I'm going and I'm calling the game. Our radio voice goes to TV. I do the play-by-play for that game all over the world on Raider Nation Radio. Lester Hayes Hall of Fame. Jack Tatum Day's coming up. Today was going to be Josh Jacobs. We're going to do Josh Jacobs on Friday. I was just busy today. We were too busy to kind of get it done. So we're going to get back on track on Friday with that. And then we'll have Lester Hayes. And then I'm just going to jump into the top 10. We're going to do 10 days in a row with like one or two guys and do the top 10. Good. 71 degrees. Yeah, let's take a look at that Seattle weather. See Seattle. Actually, Seattle weather. Wow. Okay. Seattle, Washington. Ooh, 72 degrees. Wednesday, 90% chance of rain. What the hell is that? Thursday, 50% chance of rain. Oh, no. Rain. Oh, shit. Come on, man. Seattle. Need the weather to be good in Seattle. Matter of fact, I'm texting my buddy. What's the weather going to look like? Okay. Can you go with me? If you buy a ticket, I can see you there. Out of the gate, hour number 2, JT in headquarters in the studio, the great podcast radio studio or Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. Hopefully everybody's having a great day today. Too bad the fans couldn't come out to practice today. That was canceled the day before due to smoke. And there was just a lot of smoke, and it wasn't safe for practice. But then again, the wind blew out today. Players were outside for a bit. It was a beautiful day out here today, and that's what happens. When you have wildfires from Canada and California and they're coming into this valley, you know, a lot of bad weather can't get here because once it comes into the desert, it just evaporates. That's why we don't get a lot of rain out here. A meteorologist told me that. A lot of times weather can't get from California to Vegas because going across the desert, it eventually just evaporates. It doesn't get through. Well, smoke does and fires do, and we've been dealing with that a bunch over the last couple of years. And I want to make sure we remind everybody to thank the emergency workers and those firefighters. Those firefighters that go into those mountains and go into those canyons and put their lives on the line to save homes and save lives or something. And they're Raider fans too. A lot of people out there working hard. So we want to thank you for that. Alex Echelmeyer came in studio in the first hour. She talked about the press conference today. We're going to play Pete Carroll coming up here in a moment. And I was out at practice today, and what I'm trying to do is prepare for the game because I'm trying to get some ideas of what they're going to do with personnel, right? When Gino's out there, where is Alec Backman going to be? I'm looking at the depth chart here of the wide receivers going into Seattle. Trey Tucker, Dante Thornton Jr., Philip Dorsett, I think, is having a really good camp. Jacoby Myers is a mainstay here. Jack Besh, I had a video of him making a one-handed catch indoors yesterday. Tommy Mellott, Keytron Jackson. I go back a long way with Keytron Jackson. Love his energy and what he does. Initially, I'd like to see Keytron do well. He really is a good kid. You got Brock Bowers, who I consider a wide receiver more than a tight end. They throw him that way. Michael Mayer, good to see him back and healthy and ready to go. I saw Q Myers interviewing him right after practice. You'll hear that coming up on his show. But the interesting issue for me now is to look at the offensive line. There is a big decision being made between Jordan Meredith and Jackson Powers Johnson. It looks like Jordan Meredith has got an advantage over Jackson Powers Johnson to be the starting center. And that would mean right guard would be Jackson Powers Johnson or Alex Kappa. I think DJ Glaze has been solidified at right tackle, Colt Miller at left tackle, Dylan Parham at left guard. But then there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot of players that are going to be in there in the fourth quarter or the third quarter, like Caleb Rogers, Thayer Mumford, Will Putnam. We're going to wonder what's going to happen. Charles Grant, players that are going to get some playing time here. And then the running back room is going to be fun to watch. Ashton Genty, Zamir White is now possibly the two-back. What's the competition like for touches between Zamir White and Raheem Mostert? Well, I think we're going to find out in Seattle who they're going to put out there first. And Zamir White looks good to me. It looks like he changed his body. Still super strong, but a little bit lighter. Sincere McCormick has been pretty good in the preseason past. I'm looking forward to seeing him there. And Cam Miller. What about the quarterback Cam Miller from North Dakota State? What is he going to look like when he comes out there and plays? So all of this is going to be fun to watch because Pete is trying to evaluate this team. Now, Pete's more of a defensive coach, secondary coach. Chip Kelly is running a really crisp practice every day. Practice seems to be on point. We'll talk about that with Levi Edwards coming up. But let's get to Pete Carroll. Whenever Pete speaks, we didn't carry it live. We'll cover it on Raider Nation Radio. A little while ago, Pete Carroll right after practice.
Big statement, huh? Yeah. We made the trade yesterday. Jakorian Bennett, sticking on that. How much is this kind of a vote of confidence to some of the younger players that have been?
Well, I like the way you looked at
Okay,
it.
it's 5 minutes from here.
We feel confident in the group, and so that we were able to get another guy that we need on the other side and up front. And so we're really glad to get Thomas and wish JB the best.
What is it about Thomas that you guys like?
His motor. He plays really hard. He's really consistent in his effort. He's big enough and flexible enough to play a number of spots for us. He looks really good in the rotations. That's a heck of a defensive lineman room there that keeps him from playing and getting his numbers up. But we see a lot of positives. We've known him over the years and as he's come up. And so we're really looking forward to what he can do for us.
He's also another really smart kid. How important is that?
Is this a Stanford bias thing coming out here? Because we had a Stanford bias when I was at USC too, but it wasn't on anything about that.
Just thoughts on returning back to Seattle, and apparently they'll have a tribute prepared for you, Gino and Jamal. And just thoughts on returning to Seattle for the first preseason game.
It's the only game we got. Happens to be in Seattle. You know, I loved my time in Seattle and love the fans and the people that we met and dealt with and competed with. But it's a game for us. We can go play ball. I have not heard anything about what you just talked about. I don't know what you're talking about tributes or whatever.
Do you think you'll play your full set of starters on Thursday?
Everybody's alive. Everybody's ready to go.
What was the biggest thing you took away from your time in Seattle that you're instilling here in Raiders?
Well, really, that's a really good question because it came. It was an experiment, you know, coming out of USC to go to the NFL and see if the way we had developed, the culture that we had created, the concept of competing the way we did would carry over. And mostly it was the way we treated the people in our program. I wasn't sure. I had an inkling that it would be okay, but I didn't know, and a lot of people probably questioned it as well. But we didn't change anything. We maintained the philosophy. We adapted to the players and, of course, the game, and felt. After it's said and done, I feel really good about the time we spent there, that we were able to stay with what we believed in and make it work out. So, all right. So that's really what stands out about it. Okay, next.
Not to make too much out of the first depth chart that came out. I know it's an official preseason, but there's 3 rookies starting the first string, a bunch of rookies on the second string. How important has it been for them to kind of get up to speed and be ready to have it?
No, it's huge. Like I've said to you guys from the start, I'm not hesitant to play young guys, and we kind of almost force them into it and force to feed them until they show us who they are, what they're all about, and how much they can handle. And it isn't all on them. It's on us to make sure that we ask them to do things that they're capable of doing at this time. So right now they get out there that we're going to get a lot of information, and that's what's really important at this time, so that we're making good decisions down the road.
We've been noticing that Zamir's had a nice camp. This camp, it looks like it's reflected in whatever the depth chart at this point.
What has he shown you?
Oh, he really has sent a message that he's the hammer, and I love having different styles of
2
running
minutes.
backs. His physicality that we've been celebrating with him and telling him we like the way he runs. Don't try to be something that you're not, and run heavy and run thick and tough like he does. I think he gives us a real element. So I'm really excited about what he's done so far.
You talked about the competition on the offensive line before, but how have you been pleased with what you've seen from Meredith and JPJ?
We look physical with those guys out there, and they've given us a nice flash, but we're just getting started. It's a long ways for both those guys. JPJ's been a center most of his time, and Jordan's been a guard most of his time. So, what are we thinking? You could ask. But we think we see something in this combination, and we're going to give it a look.
Obviously, it's very unfortunate what happened to Lonnie Johnson during the scrimmage. I'm wondering if you've had a chance to reach out or speak to him since, and his disposition seemed like he was doing.
Yeah, his surgery's coming up. We really miss Lonnie. This was, I think we recognize Lonnie in a way that he hasn't been recognized in the earlier parts of his career, with great respect for the variety of things that he adds to the team and all. And we're really going to miss him. We had a number of things that we had, especially that he could do well in contributing to the defense. And so we have to work a little bit to figure out how other guys can take those kinds of concepts and make them work for us. Lonnie's in good spirits. He knows that it's a chance that it's a minimal amount of time to get back. These 5 weeks here are hugely important to him, so he can get back within 3 or 4 weeks into the season, 4 or 5 weeks into the season, or whatever it is. And we'll
30 seconds.
We'll really enjoy when he gets a chance to come back.
Will you replace him with one player, or is there? Because we've seen some roles and some shifting around from what you had been doing previously.
The answer is yes.
Doing okay. I could be mistaken, but I don't think I saw him getting reps in team very much.
Yeah, we just slowed him down. We just want to make sure that he's okay. He's fine. He's not hurt at all.
Good.
All right, that's Pete Carroll from earlier today. And what was interesting about his podium session today is there is no doubt he's looking at different rotations. So he mentioned Jordan Meredith and what we're going to see with Jackson Powers-Johnson. One played guard, they moved him to center. The other played center, they moved him to guard. And he said that. You hear what he said? He said, I see something there. He sees something there. So they're experimenting with trying to put the best team out there in the best rotation. There's nothing wrong with that. The experiments that they're doing at this time are in the preseason for a reason. Do it in the preseason. Get it done in the preseason. See if it works. If it doesn't work, scrap it. That's why you got Alex Kappa. I'm looking at the depth chart here. You look at the players that the Raiders have who are available to get in there and play different positions on the offensive line. We know that Thayer Mumford can. We know that Caleb Rogers can swing from position to position. We know that Colt Miller is a left tackle. We know that Dylan Parham can play left guard, right guard, or center if in a pinch. So if you're going to be Pete Carroll and you want Chip Kelly to have the best weapons available, figure it out. Try guys out at different positions in the preseason. That didn't happen last year. No disrespect to Antonio Pierce. That wasn't happening. Last year with JPJ concussed and not available in Costa Mesa and Colton Miller not available, the offensive line was a problem. Nothing good happened last year. The team had a terrible season. It started in Costa Mesa, in my opinion, because 2 offensive linemen who would have been starters were not available. So the rhythm wasn't set. It didn't help Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. They didn't get enough good reps. They didn't. So these guys are getting really good reps. Oh, my God. Every time Geno drops back and lets the ball loose and throws deep, he seems to be on target. And I like that. I love the fact that they're taking shots. And I love the fact that Chip Kelly's been a former head coach in this league and a legendary offensive coordinator. So when he puts his play call list together for every practice, it's so efficient. And then there are days when maybe they'll give Brock Bowers a day off, or Dante Thornton will get the day off. And they'll try to work other guys in there and get them more reps. This is what's happening with the Raiders this time around. And if you're not comfortable with it, then why were you complaining so much the last 3 or 4 years when it didn't work, when these guys are trying to make it great? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you here. A lot of fans are concerned about what's going to happen going forward. I think I think we're in a really good place right now because of all the things that they're looking at and they see differently from other regimes in the past. I also spoke to Tonka Hemingway. Let's play a portion of that. What a nice guy. Never met him before. Tonka came out, and I thought that was pretty cool that Tonka was going to come out. I didn't know who I was going to get. And when they told me it was going to be Tonka Hemingway, I was kind of excited about that because he went to South Carolina. And, I know he played for a big-time program, really big-time program, no doubt about it. So here's a portion of our conversation with Tonka Hemingway right after practice.
Yes, sir. Every day I go in and try to get better at every little thing. And, with Coach Pete being competition,
Hey, 5.5.
That's one of my favorite things to do, like go in, compete, always trying to win.
Was that like this in high school, college for you at South Carolina? Did you feel like every rep, because you had a great career in college, you knew your position was secure? How different now is it in the NFL?
Right now, you gotta come in. You gotta work hard. You got people ahead of you. Also, people you can learn from. You can learn from everybody. So it's just every day just going in, trying to compete. High school, college, all that. That was like one of my main things I did.
You know what I like around here? It's kind of different. You aren't here in the past. That's what beats stresses. There are players here, maybe they don't fit the scheme. They get traded. Other players who thought maybe they're going to be a one, they're practicing with the twos. Do you notice that as a rookie, or do you just focus on what you're doing every day?
Right now, I'm just focused on me right now. Going in, focus on little things I can get better at, trying to be intentional.
How has this offensive line been with their physicality and going up against them every day?
It's been real good, learning. You get different from different. Some people got different arms. They shoot their hands different. People a little bit longer, so it's just being able to know your opponent.
I think that's really important if you could elaborate on that a bit, because the coaching staff is changing that offensive line around with Meredith and JPJ. Colton Miller's back healthy. Dylan Parham and the guards are fighting for positions there. So they're in the same boat as you. They're playing for every rep, huh?
Yes, sir. And you can see it from all of them competing. And, they all give you a little bit something different. So you learning different ways to attack and play.
The quarterbacks here, what have you known differently? I'll stay with Aiden. They both got nice balls when they come out, don't they, if they set their feet? But Gino outside the pocket, we saw him run an RPO in at the game over at Allegiant Stadium. What do you like about competing against Gino every day?
I'm like them all. They really make you think.
Do they?
Yeah, they really make you think. Give you checks. You hear them protection-wise and everything. So just hearing little things like that can help you in the long run.
These backs, when you get a chance to see Ashton Genty hit the hole, I know it's not bringing guys to the ground here, but is it different with them compared to any other running back we've ever competed against?
I've been doing that here.
Yeah, it's different.
At this place for 26 years.
Like,
That's my 28th.
You can't really take him to the ground, but you feel a little.
I can't control.
I want us to stay with that for a second, because he's low to the ground. He's a bowling ball. As a defensive tackle, I think the fans want to know how easy or difficult is it to pick him up. You see him line up out there. He gives the head fake. He cuts inside. He's so small but strong. What's it like to get in front of him?
He
I got you.
Yeah. We're going to be up here live in a minute.
Sometimes you can get caught trying to get on the tackle and everything.
Anything that's real hot out there you like today? Anything that's really got you juiced up?
No, I was researching you a little bit. You really care about community. Where did that come from, especially in college, where you were recognized for that? Is that something from grandparents, parents, family members, that you really have a mind for the community you want to give back?
Really just growing up, I think just where I'm from, wasn't really too many things going on. So I just really love. I'm very family oriented, so I just want to give back a lot.
So growing up, tell us a little bit about that. Real small town. How tight was community for you in elementary school up to high school?
I like Chin as a nickel.
My brother, really, I'm the youngest of four. So mom, dad, brother, sister, they was already off.
I'm not a huge fan of cover three unless it's like a very
youngest sister,
long pass down situation.
Just everybody being around. Everything was either Conway,
but Chin is just so athletic.
I trust these coaches.
As we wrap this up with Tonka Hemingway, this is exciting. I mentioned to you, I just got back from Canton, Ohio. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, Sterling Sharp got in, legend from that community. So that must have been a nice moment for you, Shannon Sharp.
Once I get off later, you have to tell me the most like out of pocket chat comments that you see pull up. I got you. As they come through. Like press pat or the pressers be worse. The pressers are fucking. The pressers are pretty funny. Yeah. What is it? Maybe out of pocket to show the pressers. Oh yeah. An offensive line competition is probably going to be a big not competition, but a huge conversation topic since everybody else is talking about it. So if you want to swing that in, you can. Since I've talked about it like 4 times at this point, so kind of pretty versed on it. But other than that, I think we'll be.
Yeah, I will remember that because talking to a player for the first time that I get a chance to talk to him, I try to build a bond with that player. Tonka Hemingway, very humble young man competing for a spot on this defensive line as I bring in Levi Edwards, and seems like everybody's competing for a spot on this defensive line. Tell me about the new player coming in from Philadelphia and the trade with Jakorian Bennett. What should Raider Nation know about that?
Thomas Booker is a rotational guy. Sorry to just jump into it that quick, but Thomas Booker's a rotational guy with the Eagles. Really stout, really athletic. I looked up some of his measurables, and he ran a 4.9 coming out of Stanford. It's funny that Pete Carroll will take a swing on a Stanford player, considering his bias against the school, beating up on him at USC with Arbaugh and the battles they've had. But real smart player, very fast, very physical, rotational guy, and he's been around a lot of great players in Philadelphia, and he's been around a winning culture. So he's going to know what it takes to win, and he's going to be able to do that here. Obviously, it also shows you the confidence that they have in this young cornerback room. It shows you the confidence they have in a Darian Porter and a Camryn Richardson, even in the JT Woods that they just signed with Jamal Adams. It shows you the confidence that they have in those guys to take a guy that's as young and talented as Jakorian Bennett and say, you know what, we're good. We're going to address another need that we have.
Why would Howie Roseman get rid of a defensive tackle in a rotation scenario for a world championship team? What do you think Philadelphia's move was on the other end to want a young Jakorian Bennett, considering the fact that they don't pay their corners the way they pay their tackles and their edge rushers and their receivers, their quarterback, their elite running back overall. So I'm just wondering what they saw in Jakorian, and I like the way Philadelphia has developed their players there. Do you think they're going to look at him as a rotational developmental player?
Well, I'm going to give you 2 reasons why they made the move that they did, and it's Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I think they're good at defensive tackle.
Yeah.
And obviously a rotational guy, you can always use more depth at the position, but let's be honest about the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're good at defensive tackle. I think that front 7 is a pretty solid spot. However, you have a lot of interchangeable pieces in that secondary for the Eagles where they had a lot of players leave. They had a lot of players kind of, either get traded or leave in free agency, or they didn't bring back, and it's still a very young group that they're still trying to develop. So honestly, they're in the same position where we're strong in this regard of our team. So we're going to try to bolster up another part of what we feel could be still an extremely good defense, and they saw potential in Jakorian. So they were in the same boat that we were, where they wanted to address a weak part of their roster and kind of give up something that they felt like they had depth in. And we wanted to address a part of our defense that we felt was a little weaker, that could use more depth and more experience. And like I said, the cornerback room is a little tricky because we don't necessarily have that veteran experience in that locker room. But at the same time, I've seen Darian Porter make plays. I've seen Camryn make plays. Eric Stokes is looking good. And it's just a new look for that secondary. I mean, there's no secret behind what they're looking for. They want long, tall guys, people that can be able to spread the field, be very versatile, very big, long, physically demanding cornerbacks. And so if that's the direction that they're going in, Jakorian kind of on the smaller side of being a corner. I mean, it seems the writing was on the wall for both teams.
Levi Edwards is our guest from the digital team. So before you came on, we were talking about these elaborate packages they have. And I really believe that has to be the strength of the team, because if you're going to throw out Darian Porter, who's never played a game, Decamerion Richardson, who didn't play a lot last year, played at times, got beat at times, Eric Stokes, who you're hoping you got it right, but you're going to have to wait and see. I just don't know about the 3 safeties they could have out at once, Jamal Adams. It seems like the strength of this team with Graham and Carroll is going to be, we're going to give you so many different looks from the safety position, 3 safeties, box safety, a guy who can play weak side linebacker, play safety in a pinch, young corner, prove-it cornerback deals. We're hoping this works out, but could they be in a position now where they're looking to not so much trick other teams, but to give those teams a lot to look at on tape from the preseason, saying the Raiders look completely different than they have in the past on the back end?
I would definitely see that being the scenario. And it's honestly not too much different than what Patrick Graham has already been doing. Patrick Graham, since I've been here covering this team, he's going into, I believe, his 3rd or 4th season here with the Raiders, making it through multiple regimes. And he's always been a guy that likes to switch it up. Mm-hmm. You have people, and obviously you have defensive coordinators that come in and they bring in their scheme. They're, a 3-4 guy or a 4-3 guy or a 3-3-5 guy or whatever scheme. Patrick Graham is going to play any scheme that he has to in order to combat whatever offense he's going up against. So one game it could be 4-3, one game it could be 3-4 or 3-3-5, and I've seen him even put out some 5-2 sets where he has the 5 defensive linemen up there with the 2 linebackers with a Landon and with a Landon and Devin White. So he's going to do whatever it takes to kind of win the game, win the snap, and so it really isn't surprising to see him do all of these different looks that we've noticed so far with the 3 safeties. And Chris Smith is going to have an opportunity to step up with Lonnie Johnson being hurt. Jamal Adams is going to have an opportunity to step up and kind of get reps in that linebacker, be, a box linebacker in terms of, being at the line of scrimmage and also being able to cover the tight end, things of that nature. So they're going to try to do a lot of different things. So when you're a casual Raiders fan goes on Raiders.com, they look up the unofficial depth chart for the season and they look at that base defense and 4-3, I wouldn't necessarily mind that at all, because it's just going to be so fluid and ever changing that you never know who's going to be on that field.
Levi Edwards is our guest. I want to dive into the linebackers here. What should I be concentrating on with our listeners? Landon Roberts, Jermaine Pratt, Amari Gaynor, Devin White, and especially Jalen Smith, who, wow, when you look at his athletic ability and how he came into the league and what he was projected to do, he's here for a reason. And then you throw in, a player that Pete had in the past who's now going to play possibly weak side linebacker here. I look and I say, what kind of rotation are we going to see at linebacker with Jamal Adams and everyone else here? Is this going to be a group that stays on the field, a core 2 to 3 players, or are we going to be seeing these packages coming in on 2nd and 3rd down where Jeremy Chin is in the box and Jamal Adams is out, and then all of a sudden we're seeing Tyree Wilson come in to play defensive tackle instead of edge rusher? This could look really unique in a matter of weeks.
It could be very unique, especially with the fact that you just kind of mentioned that small part at the end with Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson is going to be in a lot of different places, especially with what they need from the defensive line. So that's going to be something very interesting to keep notice of. The linebacking corps is really a wild card. The only 2-3 guys I see right now that I feel like are guaranteed to get some time and get some reps.
Who's that?
You have Landon Roberts, Devin White, and Jermaine Pratt. Outside of them, it's anybody's world, because Jamal Adams, he brings that versatility at weak side linebacker as a guy who can come down, amazing downhill runner. And then you have Amari Gaynor and you have Matt Jones, the UDFA from Baylor. Both of those guys are not really getting a whole lot of reps in with the defensive team, with the defensive unit, but they're special teams guys, and they are getting a lot of special teams reps and could potentially make the roster just based off of their value in that part of the game. Then you have Eichenberg, second-year player, who's getting a lot of reps with the second team, and he's been able to do some really good things. And I feel like they are starting to really like him as a run defending kind of linebacker to come downhill. Very crucial on the first, second down as a player. So really interesting to see how that works out, because all these linebackers have different skill sets and they're really good at different things that could definitely benefit the team. So it's going to come down to Patrick Graham and, you know, the guys that are in that room to decipher, okay, so who are the best out of this? If we can put him in any type of situation, whether it's special teams, on defense, or whatever occasion, who are the best? Who do we keep? But we have 3 preseason games to figure that out.
Jonah Laulu, I look at him from being a local product, knowing his backstory. He was ascending a week or 2 ago when I was here. It's been a little bit quiet. Maybe you saw something that I haven't seen with him. I thought that he was going to be penciled in or close to as that second defensive tackle. Now Booker's in here. I interviewed Tonka Hemingway today. You look at some of the other young players that they have there. How often do you see Adam Butler coming off the field now with this new rotation of, it looks to be 4 to 6 defensive tackles vying for snaps?
I would honestly say that Adam Butler's place on this team is pretty secure.
Absolutely.
I would say he's probably going to play a lot of snaps. And that's what he wanted. Right. That's what he asked for. You know, there's a saying that I've seen on the internet. It's like, let me not complain about my plate being full when all I want to eat. So that's kind of Adam Butler's situation. He came in and he wanted to prove he was a 4-down defensive tackle, and he did that last year, and he got paid, compensated for it, and that's what they're going to expect him to be. So really, and you can put him at 3 or 5 technique, which is great. So that other tackle, that's going to be tricky because you have Tyree, who's probably going to come in on some pass rushing situations on 3rd down and really get after it as a speed guy or a speedier guy at tackle. Jonah Laulu, he is really done a great job this training camp, and he's not only impressed the position coaches that were here already, like Rob Leonard, but he's also impressed this new regime, and Pete Carroll is really, really high on him. And the 2 tackles that were drafted, J.J. Pegues and Tonka Hemingway, they still have some time to kind of make their presence felt. They're still trying to kind of learn lay of the land and try to figure out what they're going to do within this position group. But overall, that is a very interesting dilemma of who's going to be that 3rd guy, because obviously Max, Kuntz, that's locked in. Mm-hmm. Butler, that's locked in, if you ask me.
Right.
That last spot, I think, is just super situational. There's not one guy that's going to be a stagnant part that's going to be in there on the field at all times like those other 3.
One of our listeners asked me in the chat, asked Levi about Zamir White compared to Raheem Mostert over the last week or 2. In regards to getting snaps, it seems like Zamir White is ascending now with his new body, not as bulked up again. Do you see Zamir playing a bigger role than you would have maybe in the offseason?
Yeah, actually I do. He's come back in. He looks like he's in great shape, lost a little bit of weight, looks a lot faster, more explosive. He was already a big hammer kind of guy, and Pete even called him, you know, the hammer of the team earlier today after practice. But he kind of had the odds stacked against him a little bit. If you look at what decisions were made this offseason, you bring in Raheem Mostert, a guy who ran like 17 touchdowns 2 years ago, Ashton Genty, who's the best running back in this draft class when you look at it on paper with your number 6 pick. So Zamir White had the odds stacked against him, even Sincere McCormick and Dylan Lobby, who are also still on this team fighting for jobs. So Zamir really had to put his head down and work, and so far it's panned out pretty well so far, and I'm really excited to see what he does in the preseason in terms of continuing to build momentum to be that second back behind Ashton.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, because we know Aiden's not a running quarterback. He's just not. But Geno can. What did you see in the mock practice game about Geno and potentially in the RPOs when the Raiders needed? I'm talking desperation, 24-23, Raiders trailing midfield, 3rd and 2. Raiders are spreading everybody out wide with 4 wide receivers there, and Geno just says, I'm going to take this and run on an RPO. Do you think that Chip wants him to do that, wants him to protect them, only use it in really valuable situation? How could that evolve?
I definitely think it could evolve, just in the sense that Chip Kelly is of the mindset of, if you can make a play, go make a play.
Oh, yeah.
And Pete Carroll has alluded multiple times from the time Geno has gotten the building of, yeah, he's 34 years old, but don't look at his age. He has a lot of reps left in him because he didn't play a lot throughout the middle of his career. So his body is still just as fresh as someone who is 5 years younger because he didn't take as many hits. So they want to use him because he still has that speed and he still has that athleticism, and they're going to be smart about it. But you mentioned the mock game, I want to mention that the Raiders, they went down the field. Geno Smith hit a spiral to Philip Dorsett to score a touchdown, and they could have tied the game with an extra point, but instead they went for 2. And then that RPO that you're talking about, they pulled it out. Geno faked the handoff, sprinted right past the linebacker, got the 2-point conversion. So we see the speed, we know he can do it, and I think they'll definitely pull it out situationally.
All right. We were both standing there when Pete Carroll said everybody's available to play. I'm not asking you. I'm going to jump on the Zoom with Coach Carroll right here at the end of the show, and that's a private conversation, but I like the sound of that. I like the sound that players are available to play the first preseason game. Isn't that refreshing?
It definitely is refreshing, and obviously, I mean, everyone being available to play doesn't mean that they will play. Of course. And I think a lot of people have ran with that, saying, "Oh, well, he said everybody's available." I mean, I've been with the team, and everyone dresses for the first preseason game. Geno Smith is going to dress for the first preseason game. Max is, everybody. They're going to be full uniform, pads ready to go. That doesn't mean that they're going to get in the game, but it is refreshing to know that there is no exceptions. If you are healthy, you're going to pad up. You're going to be ready to play. You're going to go through warmups. You're going to get on that field, and if we need you, we need you. Doesn't matter if it's a preseason game.
Does that change because of the joint practices with the Niners, where it's really going to get physical?
I definitely do think it could change, because really I think that the Raiders are probably going to be viewing that joint practice against the 49ers in a sense as kind of like a 4th preseason game, because it's going to get really physical and really chippy during that practice, and that's going to be another time that they're going to be able to get their first team against another team's first team in a kind of a conducive environment. So I really do think that they want to be careful going into that practice, because they kind of view that as another preseason game situation, even if it is just a joint practice.
What are you putting out next? What should we look out for at Raiders.com?
We have a training camp notebook coming out. We do a training camp notebook every day. Every day there's practice. I give my top observations, so you can always look for that. We also have a couple of stories that are going to be publishing, not even just about what's going on the field at training camp, but also off the field. We, as you know, added a new radio color commentator, Kirk Morrison, who also happens to be from Oakland, also happens to be a Raider himself. So kind of a full circle moment for him. So we have a story coming out on him. Just our usual content. We're also going to make sure that we continue to not advocate, but just put content out there for fans on players that are doing really well, as always. So always make sure to stay tuned.
Thank you, Levi. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week.
That's Levi Edwards, everybody. When we come back, we got a lot more to get to. Some more sound, maybe a little bit of the Geno Smith presser from earlier today. Your phone calls at 702-365-9200. Live from Raiders headquarters, brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, the buttery Texas toast, the coleslaw, the iced tea or the lemonade. They have it here at Raiders headquarters from time to time. Raiders love it. I love it. Raising Cane's, one love. All right. We are done. We are saying goodbye to the stream where we have 735 people in there now. That is a hell of a number.
That's really good.
That is a good number. I will talk to everybody. Thanks for being here, everybody. Catch the rest of the show on the app. Thank you, Levi. So we're off the stream.